Who are you? Where does the boundary of your specific individual identity actually begin and where does it end? We usually assume the answer is outlined by our skin. This data visualization shows the math behind that assumption. Look at a single human cell, then multiply it until you reach the total count inside a single body. You get approximately 30 to 40 trillion individual cells. But living alongside them across every surface and cavity are tens of trillions of microorganisms. By order of magnitude, your cells are often outnumbered by things that are completely non-human. When you look at those numbers side by side, the biological classification of a human as a solitary creature breaks down. The absolute cell count simply does not support the idea of one. Structurally, the concept of a singular you is an illusion. You are a massive walking consortium of different life forms. We are trained to think of the body as a machine made of isolated organs, a heart, a liver, lungs. But biology reveals a different architecture. It is far more accurate to view human anatomy as a collection of biomes. A biome is a large-scale ecosystem defined by its specific climate, resources, and the life it supports. Your body contains many of these distinct worlds. The gut operates exactly like a rainforest. It is dense, nutrient-rich, and highly competitive, with microbial populations reaching astonishing densities as hundreds of species interact and fight for space. Meanwhile, the skin functions as a savannah or a desert. It is entirely exposed, and its surface is continuously shaped by fluctuating temperatures, humidity drops, and physical contact with the outside world. The oral cavity is a dynamic wetland. Here, communities form structured layers of biofilms, clusters of microbes that stick to surfaces and each other, that constantly grow and shift in the moisture. Even the nasal passages host an ecosystem entirely of their own, adapted specifically to sharp gradients of airflow and available oxygen. The body is not a single, uniform habitat. It is a collection of distinct climates, and each specific climate actively selects and sustains its own native populations. These native populations belong to entirely different branches of life, known as phyla. A phylum is a primary taxonomic rank that groups organisms based on their basic structural organization. Lineages like Firmicutes and Actinobacteria are totally distinct biological categories, completely separate from each other. This chart illustrates the immense depth of evolutionary time separating these microbial groups. Look at the tiny marker on the right. That represents the entirety of human existence. The vast branching lines stretching to the left represent the divergence of these microbial lineages, separating billions of years before humans ever existed. These ancient microbes are hard at work inside us. They break down the complex foods that human enzymes are incapable of digesting. In the process, they produce metabolites, small molecules created during metabolism that directly influence our energy balance. They also interact directly with the immune system, constantly shaping our tolerance to external threats and controlling inflammation. They even maintain the physical integrity of the body's biological barriers, keeping the intestinal walls secure. They are passive in no sense of the word. They are structurally integrated into our physiology, operating as the essential engines of human survival. Reconsider those initial cell counts. Trillions of human cells intertwined with trillions of microbial cells. When you try to locate a precise boundary between you and not you, the line disappears. A human being operates as a dynamic ecosystem. A rainforest does not have a single rigid identity, and a desert does not have an owner. The fluid nature of these environments defines them. By expanding our definition of self to include these hidden, coexisting ecosystems, the actual genetic capacity of what a human body can do is vastly multiplied. Yet, living inside this layered, complex biological reality, we still speak and act as if we are simple. We construct rigid personal identities. We divide ourselves constantly by geography, by belief, by ideology. We argue over permanence in structures that exist for a tiny fraction of geological time. We do all of this while carrying entire living systems within us that predate our existence by billions of years. Systems that coordinate, stabilize, and cooperate entirely independent of our awareness. So, once again, who are you? A single individual? Or a walking biome, a temporary arrangement of trillions of cells and trillions of microbes, briefly coordinated enough to think, to question, and to call itself I.